back to my channel. I'm Grace if you are new and passing by, and I'm still Grace if you are, the same people and you're coming back. So I thought today that I would do like a bit of a different video, and I was just gonna say a couple things about those of you who might be thinking about doing nursing. So the title of the video is Should You Be a Nurse? So if some of these things apply to you, then you really need to think about whether that's the right career for you. I look like I'm not wearing a top, but I am. It just happens to be going down. It's pretty. It's the one from Zara's. It's the purple one. Anyways, focus. Yeah, so if you see me looking down, it's because I made some notes on my little, tablet, iPad, whatever. Anyways, I made some notes, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So let me not ramble anymore and let's start. Should you be a nurse? The answer is no, if these are some of the reasons that you are thinking you should do nursing for. Okay, so let me explain it properly first. One of the most annoying things that I feel like people think, sometimes they think it, they never say it, is they think if you're a nurse, then you're a nurse because you might have failed like a different career like medicine or something like that. Or you wanted to be a medic and didn't really get into it, which is annoying because it just reminds you that people do not understand how different these two career paths are. Hugely different. Look into it. I'm not gonna tell you. Look into it, okay? So if that is you, whether you've applied to do a different course like, I don't know, medicine or physiotherapy or other biomedical science type things, and you don't get into it and you think, oh yeah, I can do nursing, please don't. Child, no. You will suffer. You will hate it. These are not the same careers, okay? Ask yourself what aspects of the career that you were looking to go into, ask yourself what aspects of that career are similar to nursing before you just apply for it, and vice versa. What aspects of nursing do you see in the other career you wanted before you just jump into it? And if there are none, or there are things that you don't like about nursing that you specifically didn't apply for that and you applied for other roles, then do not just change your mind and say, oh yeah, I'll just go for nursing now. Child, you'll suffer, I'm telling you, but that's okay. Number two. It's a pretty simple, clear-cut one. Money. Surprisingly, I've actually heard people say, well, if you do nursing, you always have money. Okay. Listen, you're not going to be poor if you're a nurse, but you're not going to be balling either. Let's just be real about it. So if money is one of your motivating factors, I would not consider that. I would be like, it's not working out, mate. It's not going to work out. What happened? It's flashing. Reason number 3, okay? The reason, point number 3 rather, is if you're lazy. There is no cute way about this. We're just gonna have to be pretty blunt about it. If you know for a fact that you are the kind of person that is a little bit work shy, you don't really like to exert yourself too much. In other words, you are lazy. Nursing is not your career path, because across the board, wherever you're gonna be working, whether you are in theaters, whether you are on a ward, something like a day case unit, a rehab facility, you are always going to be running around, okay? The only thing that varies there is the speed at which you're running around, but you will be running around, and there's a reason we have to wear those ugly shoes. It's because your feet are basically dying, okay? And those shoes are supposed to resuscitate them every step you take. That is the purpose for wearing those heinous shoes. I love those shoes. They're so comfy. Squishy. So if you know you're lazy, please don't apply, okay? We don't need you around here. You're holding the rest of us back. It's quite difficult when you're working in a team and you're working with someone who takes breaks every 20 minutes. Even when there's work and they're like, whoo, it's a bit of a stressful day. What do you mean? 90% of your job's outstanding. What have you done all day? Or people that just disappear. Oh, there are people that always disappear off of the ward. Like, they disappear for a solid like 20 minutes, every couple of minutes. And you're like, I really don't understand what you're doing. Don't be lazy, you guys. This is not the career for you if you know you don't like working. No cute way about this. If you just don't, okay? Point number 4, reason number 4, I don't even know which one we're using at this stage, but if you know that you are, quickly attached to people, or you really struggle with being over emotional sometimes, then this might not be the career for you. I know what you're thinking, like, oh, don't nurses need to be, sensitive and emotional and stuff? They do, but you are going to be exposed to so many traumatic events, and not like, oh, the big crash a big crash on the M1 and the people are in resus in A&E and they're dying and it's so emotional. That happens very rarely. What you're most likely going to have are people that are perhaps not coping very well with their own chronic conditions. They're getting upset, they're getting frustrated, they're getting tired of living such a life, and they let their emotions out. And if you are like, if you're an emotional person, I am an emotional person, seeing other people breaking down and crying makes me upset as well, because I'm like, I want to make it better for you. I want to make it just right for you, but I just don't know how to do that. You are going to be exposed to stuff like that all the time. You're going to be exposed to people that are towards the end of their lives, whether that's because, they have a lifelong illness and it's now taking them, it's now ending their life basically, or it's old age. You're more likely to be exposed to those type of scenarios again and again and again. And if each time you are opening, just ripping apart your heart and showing everything, you won't last very long. You need to build resilience, and you also need to learn how to compartmentalize things. You need to be empathetic with people, but not carry all of their burdens on you, because you won't last very long. Like emotionally and psychologically, you will probably just kind of burn out, just hit rock bottom quite quickly if you don't learn how to disconnect. So that's pretty tough. So if you are someone that struggles to control their emotions, you might have to rethink. Okay, you might really have to rethink, because you've been side room 1 with someone who's end of life and their relatives are like all emotional, upset and crying, and you're gonna leave that room to go right next door to someone who is, I don't know, I keep giving death examples, but the person in side room 2 could be having a great day, and it's like an emotional yo-yo type thing. They're just there because, I don't know, they have some foot pain or something that needs further investigation, and you're gonna go from one room where it's like somber and dark and the mood is just womp womp womp, it's like the Grim Reaper is having a party in there, and then you go into the next room and everyone's like, a whole new day. It's hard. Like, you need to learn how to separate things, because you can't go in the next room and all be grim, like, because the other person's not having a good time. You can't do that. You really need to learn how to separate. I feel like I could have given you better examples of that, but that was so rough. Ooh, an extra thing, have a dark sense of humor. Quite dark indeed. And the 5th and final thing that I think, if you can see this in yourself, rethink nursing. If you don't like people and you don't like interacting with the people, oh honey, you might just struggle. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say again, because surely if you're going into nursing, you're fully aware that you're going to be dealing with people all the time, and you should love people. At least that's what I thought before I started. On one of my first ever placements as a nursing student, I think my mentor wasn't there, and I was given to a different nurse to work with for a day, and she hated people. I know exactly how that sounds. She really just hated everything about nursing, especially the fact that people expect her they expect her to do things for them. They especially expect her to solve their problems. And she really was not in the mood for that. I was just like, but that's why we're here. She hated it. She really, really hated it. And she, fun fact, retrained to be a police officer. I was like, okay. I don't know why you did nursing in the first place. You should have just gone straight into like, the forces type thing. But something you need to bear in mind is the people that you're looking after as a nurse, whether they are a patient, whether they are a patient's mom, a patient's dad, a patient's aunt, uncle, son, daughter, whatever. These are the same people you deal with on an everyday basis. These are the same people you see in Sainsbury's, okay? And they're the same people who grab the last punnet of strawberries when you were busy thinking whether you want to pay £3 for a punnet of strawberries, but you weren't quite ready to let it go yet, and then they snatched it from you. They're exactly the same people. They are the same people that overtake you when you're trying to get petrol, okay? And you're not quite sure which line you should go into, and they overtake you. They're the same people, okay? They do not have a script for what patient A says and what relative B says. They don't have that. It's just a different setting, okay? And as much as you would like the interactions, most of the time, actually, they're going to be quite pleasant. They're going to be nice interactions. But something that you should be aware of is people that are in hospital are obviously there because they are not well or they need your help. And there is a range of feelings that goes with that. Anxiety, nervousness, fear, panic, a loss of control, all of those things. So they would direct it to the person that's there, that's there the closest, that has something to do with this illness. And that's going to be you as the nurse. They'll direct all of this. So your interactions are going to be so varied, okay? Some of them will be pleasant, some of them will not, but they will take a toll on you either way. And if this is something you're already thinking, hoy, you're just hearing about it and you're already like, not me, not today. This is gonna form the bulk of your work. This is, especially if you're on a ward, this is gonna form the bulk of your day. Face to face with the 7 different patients all day, and then sometime in the afternoon, all of their relatives, and then sometime, well, basically from when your shift starts, all the other different healthcare practitioners. So your physios, your doctors, your dietitians, everyone else, okay? So if you're really not here and you're not about that life, that constant yakety in your face, can you do this? Can you do that? Why is this not going how it's supposed to? You said it was gonna happen today. Where's my x-ray? Oh, sweetie. If you're already over this, then I don't know if that's the right place for you. I would like to tell you that it's always great, but then I feel like I would just be lying to you. And then when you get there, you're gonna be like, so this is what you didn't tell me? Ew. Most of the time it's gonna be good stuff, but I wanna make sure I tell you the bad stuff so you're not caught off guard, okay? Now, we started off with the bad things. I have a list of 5 things that if you can identify with these, then please go on ahead and apply to nursing, because you're showing signs that this could be it for you. Okay? The first thing I put on my list is the most obvious thing. Are you kind and are you compassionate? You do not have to be Nanny McPhee singing a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, the medicine go. Okay, anyways, I love that song. But you don't have to be that kind and compassionate singing around all day, okay? You don't have to be that, but what you do need to have is a genuine heart for people. You do need to have a real, a very genuine desire to see people get well, get better, and take time to help them in their journey, okay? That's something you definitely gotta have for people. So if that's you, fill out the application. Number 2, do you learn quickly and do you adapt quickly as well? You could be starting your shift on Ward 1, where you work with, I don't know, renal patients, but you're gonna be sent to like Ward 5, where they deal with gastro patients, and you're like, I've never worked in gastro. Well, today's the day. You're just gonna have to take what you already know from this place and adapt it to work in that different environment. And not just changing locations geographically, right? You're also gonna have to learn how to keep up with new policies, new guidelines. It doesn't end. So if that's you and you know you pick up things quite quickly, then fabulous. Like I said before, move on to the next box of your application. This is going well. Point number 3, my personal favorite. If you don't know the meaning of the word gross, okay, and you have no problem with bodily fluids, then this is gonna be great. Okay. I once had someone poo in my hand and it was diarrhea. And then they just managed to sit on the commode, but they'd already started. Thank God it didn't go in my gloves. I think I would have been upset if you wanted my gloves, but it was just sitting in my hands and I just, let it out into the commode. But if stuff like that is really not about, if you're already like retching at the moment, then this is not gonna work out. If you're already retching, then I don't know if you're gonna cut the mustard cupcake. I feel like most people who work in healthcare have like a list of fluids that they are okay with, and there's always that one thing that they don't like. I'm okay with poo, okay, even diarrhea. You know what? Even stoma poo, I'm alright with that. That doesn't bug me now. It really doesn't bug me. So I'm fine with poo. I'm fine with urine. Everyone's fine with urine. Like, who has an issue with urine at this point? If urine bugs you, there's no hope for you at all. I'm okay with blood. I don't mind blood. Like when I'm scrubbed, I'm like trying to clean up the blood. I hate it when people just put clots onto the table. I'm like, no, I want to keep all the blood this side. I want to keep this pot clean, which sounds stupid, but it makes perfect sense in my head, because I'm like, if we can just keep the top half dirty, then, I don't know. It looks less chaotic. It just looks nicer. In my eyes, it just looks nicer if you keep all the blood and the gross stuff this side, near the operation side. I'm like, no. I pick up all the clots, I'm like gathering all my clots and putting them in the little baggie next door. I suck them up with the suction. Yeah, I like it when it looks clean. It looks cute when it's clean. Like a gaping wound, but I'm like, no. This part is clean. I like surgeons who give me the clots. I'm like, oh, teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. We made it. We kept it clean. Good job, guys. Good job. Okay. But yeah, if you have a thing about body fluids, obviously it goes without saying you're not gonna like this. I hate phlegm. That's like my one body fluid. I'm like, please no, just no. And you know what? I'm exposed to more phlegm when I'm outside in normal everyday life than I am in a hospital. People just being like, oh. Nope. It's not right. Moving on. I feel like we rambled. I use that word too often. Point number 4. This is on our yes list to the nursing. So if you're patients, I specifically wrote patients of a saint, patient that pleases the Lord God Christ, okay? People will test you. People will test you. They test you, okay? You're busy running around like a headless fool because you're trying to get all your jobs done. You haven't eaten lunch yet, and someone says, I need to talk to someone about my parking ticket. Me too, buddy. Me too. Okay? Speak to somebody in the parking office upstairs, and they're just like, and you're like, no, I can't help you with anything parking related. You know what? I'm sick and tired of people giving me excuses. Me too. Me too. And then you think that's the end of it, and they proceed to tell you everything wrong with the parking system. And you're like, this can't be happening. Are you serious? this can't be happening. But indeed, it is happening. Now you can't just say, excuse me, I don't care. You can't say that, okay? You're a professional. You can't say that. You have to be patient and let them finish their 4 or 5 sentences where they're just venting and frustrating at you. And then you tell them they need to file this complaint upstairs in the parking office. Now that I've just gotten that off my chest, let me give you a more realistic example of the kind of patience a nurse needs to have. Now, I think I've already said this before, but people that are in hospital are there because they're not well, and they're there because they also need something from healthcare practitioners. It is, let me try and think of a simple thing, well, something that seems simple. You know what, we're gonna go with diarrhea. For whatever reason, this person is now experiencing diarrhea. So they're having to go to the toilet again and again and again with loose stools. And you know, it makes you weak. Diarrhea makes you weak. You're obviously not that well if you are constantly exploding. If you're constantly exploding. Now, I picked that example because I feel like that's something you hear and you're like, it's not that serious in terms of like the reasons why people go to hospital, because you automatically think the more exciting things, don't you? Like, you know, a crash and people are in recess, you know, in A&E and it's all kicking off. No, the person who's not well with like gastroenteritis, you know, that causes them this diarrhea, that's more common. And it sounds like something so trivial, but it can really affect someone. The fact that if they're not making it to the bathroom, they might need your help, really affects them. Okay, it takes away an element of their freedom, an element of their privacy. They've never had to depend on someone before for something, and people like that react in so many different ways that you are not used to. They're angry, they're frightened, they're frustrated, and guess what? They'll take it out on you. Now, if you have someone constantly telling you off that this hasn't been done and that hasn't been done, you can easily react with, you know what, like, you know, you can easily react with the confrontational attitude, but you need to not do that. You need to be patient enough with people to understand that they're going through quite a tough time for them. They're going through something they've never been through before, and you just need to give them a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of breathing space, a little bit more understanding than you would normally do the person on the street that, you know, cuts you off when you're trying to turn, or if you're on the motorway and people just take over, like they overtake you from the left side. Ooh, it's okay. But yeah, patience of a saint. We need that. You can't afford to just be snapping at people left, right, and center. It's not nice. You need to be patient with people. And the last thing is smart. My camera is counting down again. How rude. How rude. The last thing I'm going to say pretty quickly. Are you smart? I'm talking about, are you book smart? Like I said before, you're going to need to keep yourself up to date. It's not just about your skills. Your skills come from theory. So you're going to need to maybe do courses here every once in a while that just sort of catch you up with what's the latest in practice. So you're going to need to do courses just to keep adding to what you already know. So that's the book smart element of things. And you're going to need obviously keep reading your policies and your guidelines about how we operate, but also just everyday type of smart. That's actually the most useful kind of smart, because we have a plan for how we're going to start out the day, but that's not how the day goes. Problems appear. Are you quite quick with problem solving skills? You know, do you sort of depend on other people to solve your issues, or are you going to be able to come up with a makeshift solution for however long it's needed? That is pretty key. To wrap it up, I made another little list of things that I just feel like you should be aware of. You don't really need to consider them. This is just your FYI type situation. So the first thing I put is just be very aware that there's very little staff in the NHS in terms of nursing. They've said time and time again that they're struggling to recruit nurses. So having a shortage of nurses in clinical practice means for some of you students that are going in now, you're going to struggle with maybe sort of continuity of your learning. You might have this mentor today, that mentor tomorrow, and I know how frustrating that is. Just try and make the most out of it, and just buckle down and get as much as you possibly can done. And if it's getting to you, speak up. There's no point in you just suffering in silence, because those things do affect you, and sometimes they have ways of working around that. So if you notice that not being able to have the same mentors again and again is really starting to affect you and your learning, speak up, okay? The other thing is that healthcare is rapidly evolving. So it's not because you're slow if you don't know something. It's not because you didn't do your research. We have so many new different roles that I haven't even worked with some of these people, but I know they're there now. Nursing assistants, advanced nurse practitioners, different specialists. It's all happening. Let me stop here so I fix the flashing lights.
Hello beauties, so I've just inserted a little video clip of my Etsy store. It's called Floriculture Co. I stock really pretty floral t-shirts, and I've just added a dress to my new collection. So we're growing ever so slowly. Feel free to just check it out, you guys, and support a sister any way you can. Just have a look at it and try and get something super cute from there. Mwah, thank you.
Howdy doody. Straight into it. Okay. The third thing that is just another little FYI that you should be aware of is that this is a good career. Nursing is still a good career because you can go pretty much anywhere with it. I mean, if you actually knew how to speak, I'm assuming in Kazakhstan they speak Kazakh, okay? Don't come for me. In fact, let me not even use that example, because I know some of you are just ready to tell me that's not what they speak, okay? If you somehow learn how to speak Mandarin, you can just fly over to China and you can do nursing in China. My point is, it's a pretty good career that's always going to be in demand. I know that's always how they sell it, but genuinely speaking, it's up to you to make the most out of it that you want to, okay? Because you're always going to be needed, so you are free to go here, there, and everywhere. So something for you to consider. And I think the final thing that I had on my list was it's a career with many avenues. By that, I just meant, like I've already covered before, you get like specialist nurses now, so many different specialist nurses, and I'm pretty sure that their scope of practice is ever increasing. You get advanced nurse practitioners, you get like nurse practitioners, you get emergency nurse practitioners, you get so many different things. You can go into research, and that's a whole different department on its own. You can go into, what's the other thing that I thought was pretty interesting? Some of the nurses that work as representatives. So I don't know, a company like Johnson & Johnson or something will have you selling their wipes or something, or their blood pressure cuff. Like, look, this is how you use it. This is our new equipment, which is pretty cool. I find that interesting. Or you can go into, I chose to go into medicine. You can go into midwifery if you still want to stay within healthcare. And that's the other thing, you don't even have to stay in healthcare, because the skills that you learn in nursing, you can go into different areas. Remember that nurse that didn't like people that want to become a policewoman? I'm sure some of the skills she learned in nursing were pretty useful in law enforcement. And see, that's how that works. There are plenty of areas that you can go into. So that is it for all the little FYIs that I think you should just be aware of. There are a lot of other things that I obviously didn't cover in this video, and feel free to just add to the list, by the way, if you already know some of them. But I hope that was remotely useful to someone out there, and that is it. I will see you another day. Take care, have fun, stay safe, bye bye.